up to, but it's record talk. Yeah. Woo!
It's a whole lot of energy coming right at you.
Let's not tell him he didn't push the button for the theme song. Well, maybe he did. Maybe he's dancing.
Are you hearing the music? Because I don't hear it.
You don't hear music?
No, we didn't hear the theme song.
Oh, I wonder if anyone else hears it. That'd be interesting if no one else can hear it. Really?
I'm looking at Facebook. I don't hear it either.
Really?
Yeah, 0.
Oh, wow. That looks really silly.
Well, not really. It's just you jamming away. I love it.
Yeah, you were having the time of your life.
Oh, you bastard machine.
You know how silly that scream is going to sound without any reference point?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Here now?
It is.
All right, let's go. It's record talk, baby. Woo! Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ. All right, we'll get it.
I was going to say, yeah, so nothing's changed, everybody. Welcome to the shit show.
It's about the same.
Ah, so you didn't hear this.
That panel.
Man, that's embarrassing.
Kim, I don't hear music. Well, you do now.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks. Thank you, Kim.
Oh, man. What's going on, guys?
Not too much. How's everybody doing?
I was doing all right a few moments ago. Now I'm indifferent.
Oh,
Until you blew up your own spot.
You interviewed and got to hang out with all of In Living Color, not just the guitarist.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
It was epic. I'm very proud. Very proud.
I bet.
So, I wanted to ask you guys, geez, that's going to be so silly to listen back to right now. We're public.
I can't wait to listen to it tomorrow while I'm working. It's going to be fantastic.
Screaming like a madman for nothing.
You can't just listen to it, James. You got to watch it because you got to see Jimmy away with nothing.
Nothing. Guys, in my headphones, when I was dancing, everything is happening in my head. I just didn't have it routed properly because I was doing something else in the intro. Are you doing Instagram today too or no?
Are we what?
Instagram today or no?
We can hit it up if you want, sure.
All right, we'll get there eventually, but they don't get the cool parts.
Just a quick teaser, though, not like last time where we kept
They missed the intro. That's that's legend. They'll never get that again.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that I've wasted some time on my idiocy.
What idiocy?
What's in the glass? What's in the glass?
All right, there we go. I got that one.
I think we should start with you, Rob.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, 2 things are in my glass, honestly. Ooh. First thing in this water bottle is this Run Every Lab. Excuse me?
Ectoplasm?
It's not ectoplasm. Unfortunately, it is not. Let me make it louder so I can hear you, Brian. It is Run Everything Labs Onward, which is an immunity support, sustained energy, mood enhancer, and optimal focus powder that has all sorts of vitamins inside of it, a little bit of caffeine, 200 milligrams. And I teach guitar to one of the guys who works for this company, and I got all kinds of crazy flavors, and the green apple is delicious. And then I have a second cup, which is a cup of peanut butter by the company called Fokin Nuts.
Fokin Nuts.
This one is snosberry honey, and they come in all crazy flavors. So that's
nice. Is it good?
It's delicious.
Oh, Fokin Nuts.
Yeah, that'll be I have 4 of them, different flavors, so that'll be
nice.
What's in your glass, James?
I today am very simple. I just have a glass of orange juice. I wanted something nice and refreshing and simple, and I got it.
Vitamin C, baby.
There you go.
That's what I figure.
Vitamin C.
I shook the crap out of it, so it's been foamy for 15 solid minutes.
Ooh, all right. You like yours with pulp or without?
I prefer without, but every now and again I find pulp to be quite refreshing.
I like to chew my juice. I do.
I do too.
It depends. I go back and forth. Like, it depends on the mood I'm in.
Yeah, man. I
What
got
do you
another little Pac-Man glass there, but it's a nice shake I made. It's strawberries, raspberries, blueberries. What else is in there? Coconut milk. I got some protein powder, hemp seeds, chia seeds, and flax seeds. Lots of seeds.
Nice.
Yeah,
Sounds
man.
delicious.
Yeah. Oh, and some pomegranate too.
So I want to share
something
fun with you guys real fast before we get to because I just got a text message from him. So in my previous interview tonight, which the podcast is already up, and I got to speak with Living Color, as you said. I got to talk to everyone in the band. But a day in the life of Rob, I'm always doing like any given moment, and my day is pretty structured minute to minute. Yeah. And any given minute, I'm usually doing 3 different things. So somehow, in the process of sending their manager the link to their interview, I sent them a link to Spotify. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, where are these guys? And the phone rings and it's a number I don't recognize. And it says, hi, this is Doug Wimbish from Living Color. Can I talk to Rob? And I'm like, oh, I never thought I'd get that call. We fixed it. And it was a beautiful interview. If you guys should check it out, just texted me. Great guys. Good time. Great music.
No, it was very, very
never
good.
thought you'd hear in your life.
Yeah. And still it's absurd even for it to come out of my mouth, but it was so sweet. They were really, really, really cool guys.
Well,
Nice.
a couple months ago, I was talking to you, and I get like we were saying before, like I know you well enough to know when something's going on, or to kind of know what's happening on the other end of the line. So I know when you've been distracted, that I'll say something and the line just kind of goes silent for a minute. And that happened while we were on the phone a couple months back, and I was like, "Are you there? Hello?" And you just started like cackling, and you're like, "I think I just got a text from Bruce Kulick." I'm like, oh, I guess this is just your life now. This is how this works, apparently.
Yeah, right. It's pretty wild.
I feel very blessed. I truly do. For someone
It's pretty amazing.
See things in that perspective, it's not lost on me one bit. It's really special. But I'm
That's
special
awesome.
with this, man. This is exciting.
I'm excited.
And I guess it's time to start talking about some music. So
Oh,
Never
boy.
mind. We're doing Nirvana.
All right, Rob.
yeah,
why don't
wait.
you get started on
all right. So
That
I
was an
think
odd
you
one.
should go first.
we got the CD here. So since we can't play the songs, let me show you guys. Watch my hand, okay? So watch the positions I'm in. Ready? You hear it? Wow, that was like 3 songs and I barely had to change my position.
You've been practicing that, haven't you?
Yeah, yes. James Heretic or Rob. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what. This is an epic album, guys. That
Pardon me.
it's a lot. I like that color green on you very much. What's the rest of that look like?
Looks like
Zip
this.
all the way down? Nice. Oh no, it's half zip.
It's zips all the way down.
All right, good.
Star Wars.
Nice. I think that everyone who how to phrase this. So as a guitar player, similar to AC/DC last time, these are songs that run through every guitarist has learned. Nirvana songs. I mean, I just played 3 of them without even trying, literally. So the lack of complexity doesn't take away from the lack of significance of the album. And I will share more opinions momentarily, but I'd like to hear what you guys think of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when this album came out. So it came out in '91. It was their sophomore album, and prior to that was Bleach, and this kind of defined a movement, and I think that they get a lot of attention for that. Although I don't think they should be the sole reason for that, but it was insane to kind of watch that in real time, to watch Nirvana grow to this giant thing. And honestly, it loosely equates to almost like the way the Beatles, that form of hysteria from the fans, as well as just the cultural phenomenon that it kind of created. It was kind of overwhelming. But they did for music and the stage performance, to me, the way that Iggy Pop and the Stooges did, where it just this raw, visceral energy. And it was good to see that with a young group of guys,
Yeah. And I think you kind of nailed it there too. The whole kind of like being reminiscent of the Beatles, especially like if you watch the video for In Bloom, that's kind of paralleling that pretty much perfectly.
Yeah.
I say this a lot with music from this time period that, I saw the world premiere of that video. I saw the world premiere of Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Right.
And just because all I did, but MTV played videos back then, and like music was a huge part of my life. Like when I was learning what music I liked around that time period, and I was like we talked about last week. Like my sister would get like CDs and everything from Tapeville or wherever, and she would tear the boxes apart. I was like in the middle of a torrid love affair with Master of Puppets and Injustice for All at this point. So when I heard this, I was like, and then. Like I was very, very dismissive of it And I to the point that I, much in James fashion, didn't pay attention to it at all. And it took a lot of years for me to be able to appreciate it and to be like, people actually listen to that, to realize that there was something going on that I had no idea was happening at the time.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point too, though. I think that people need to kind of like put themselves in a time machine and kind of figure out like what did '91 feel like at that time. You think about what was going on in pop culture then, like CNC Music Factory had "Gonna Make You Sweat" was like a hit song. You had just think about like something. I was just looking up like what else was going on in '91 because some things popped in my head was like Terminator 2 was a big one and Silence of the Lambs. You had Home Alone. You had a war going on then. You had Operation Desert Storm, right?
Sure.
You
Yeah.
had the beginning of the internet was the first time publicly available. So like this is kind of a monumental time of all sorts of things. And then boom, this happens. And I said that they get a lot of recognition, but I mean, keep in mind, Pearl Jam released 10 in August of '91, and this album was released in September, I think, right? Yeah, September. So it's like they get a lot of the credit solely, I feel like, and unjustly at times, for the grunge movement. But like there was a lot that came out of bands. I mean, you had Mudhoney, you had Pearl Jam, you had a ton of bands from that area that were kind of driving this too.
Yep.
They just kind of reached it in such a mainstream way.
I feel like, it's hard to put it in perspective now because you think 91, if you're born in 2001, you're born in 2011, 91, well, that's the 90s. But 91 was really still the 80s.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so it was truly a changing of the guard. It makes me crazy because everyone says that the grunge music killed the guitar solos, but it didn't. Really, the new metal stuff killed the guitar solos. If you want to nitpick,
Well, Pearl Jam had guitar solos. I mean,
good one.
Soundgarden had guitar solos.
right? I
and
mean,
things like that.
and then Kurt just played random ridiculous notes, so there was stuff like that in this music too. So, that was a dig. So,
We're gonna get back to that. Don't you worry.
It's hard for me, right? Because let's do some math. Ready?
Oh, geez.
Take out your toes.
Take out the
Rob's born in '83. How old am I in '91?
8.
8. So my son is 9. So that's some perspective, right? Which means I was in 3rd grade. So I was, think of a 3rd grader. Music is, and I didn't have older siblings nor older cousins. I had no one older in life. None of us were friends just yet. We were a couple years away from that. So
I'm actually going to interrupt you right there. That is not accurate. 1991 and 1992, we knew each other.
I just said we're a year away.
But I mean, 1992, 1991.
But I'm saying
we probably knew each other around this time period.
I met you when I was 9, so that's 92.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
All right. Well, you can ignore me. I'm good.
Yeah, I think so. Which is crazy. I've been friends with you since
the first EP.
So I don't remember this being what it was. I remember In Utero coming out. I remember her dying. And I remember similarly when Tupac and Biggie died, those were like the 3 pillars of like, whoa, shift.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a Nirvana fan then. I like Smashing Pumpkins. I like Soundgarden. I like Stone Temple Pilots. I liked Alice in Chains. I didn't like Pearl Jam back then. That came later. Shame on me. But I don't fully get it.
Well, I think this people say the same thing about the Beatles and other bands that have kind of, chiseled out kind of a cultural phenomenon, James doesn't get the Beatles either.
James doesn't get music, really.
I really don't understand a lot of music in the scheme of things. But I can, maybe to your point, Rob, that you said you didn't get it.
I don't like too current. I still don't get it.
I agree that at the time I didn't get it. And one of my closest friends really, really admired this band and like was shaping himself as a guitar player around this band, like around the Nirvana sound. And
Jesse?
No, he's no longer with us.
Oh.
But I think it was maybe like around like the early 2000s that I had listened to it again and that I tried paying more attention to it. And I think I made it through to like Come As You Are and I started to understand. And I think a lot of people understood at Smells Like Teen Spirit because that was the point of entry, right? Like that was the single.
Right.
But and there was a bunch of singles off of this album, and there was a bunch of stuff that might not have been necessarily a single, but still got airplay and whatnot. But Come As You Are, to me, for some reason, I related to it more, that I understood it more, that he was in a lot of pain. And like you can hear it a lot in his voice. And I think that's what we didn't necessarily get, that maybe we couldn't understand or figure out. I think that's what it is.
I'm going to jump off that before you say something, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, don't
So
bother.
in 2003, 2004, around then, which is when I will never fall. What's that? The song that came out the one song that's come out after they died.
Oh, You Know You're Right.
No, you're right.
You know you're
I
right.
love that song. It's my favorite Nirvana.
Yeah, it's
song.
fantastic.
That's where they were going. Okay, I'm on board. And we played that song many a times. But around that time, I had that same experience where someone had gotten the box set and I took it from her. I ripped all the CDs onto my iPod. I listened to all of them, taking the bus back and forth from the city. I was reading the Heavier Than Heaven, his biography. I actually have notes written in that biography about music, the Chasing Forever music that we were doing together. So like around that time, 03, 04, I got it.
Yeah.
But I think that shows how music can be so wrapped up in where you are in your life, because I didn't get it in my early teens all the way through my late teens. I got it in my early 20s, and now in my mid 30s, I
Dig it in there.
it's not mid 30s, that's why I'm digging. I don't get it anymore. So I don't know, seriously, I hear these songs and I see the kids at Obsessions in the back door. And maybe that's a testament to what it is, because people were replicating that. So maybe I'm naive to it, but you're going to say something. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I was never really into Nirvana. Like they weren't like a huge band for me the way Blind Melon, Nine Inch Nails, and
Right.
various other bands. But I definitely respect them. I think to me it was the same as like looking at the hardcore scene or looking at the punk scene, or even the industrial scene, where you have this. There are themes in all genres where you'll have angst and anger and resentment and isolation and depression and but you don't get it in its raw form a lot of times, as you do in those genres that I just mentioned. And I think that was kind of refreshing to see that. And you see this new subgenre come forth, and it's gnarly. There's nothing about, they don't give a shit about if it's for the audience. This is strictly my heart, and here it is, and that's how this is going. And if you listen to early Soundgarden, you hear that. You listen to early Melvins, you hear that. It's just this is it. This is what you get, and you either like it or you don't. Same thing when you show up to a punk show. Not some of the popular, more mainstream punk or hardcore scene. And I think that's what was kind of refreshing in a time when you had great change. You're leaving from one decade to the next. Like you said, 91 is really the 80s. So there is this kind of like transitional period happening. And you're watching. I think what makes this time period new and exciting, whether you like Nirvana or not, is that you have the birth of the internet. I remember very distinctly being able to kind of like very slowly, but like get lyrics or go on fan sites and see
Prodigy.
videos. Yeah, man. So it's like it was cool to kind of see that, and it was neat. It was fun to be a part of that. It was fun to kind of be a spectator.
See, I feel like for me, just being just a couple of years younger than you guys, I was too young to appreciate it. Like my distinct musical memories where I was like, oh, like I remember when Bullet with Butterfly Wings debuted on rock. I remember when One Hot Minute came out and the music videos for My Friends and Airplane.
Such a great album.
I remember when Heaven Beside You, like that last Alice record, came out. I remember when Kurt died, and I remember Heart Shaped Box. This was just a little bit too early, and I think maybe also like the kids who were into this, like the Spencer's kids with the baggy corduroys and the incense and the weed and all the stuff, like that was just not the hacky sacks. Like it just didn't connect. It wasn't true grunge. Like by the time it hit me, it was like this skater grunge stoner conglomerate that I was, not my scene. But
yeah, makes sense. I mean,
what's your favorite song on here?
Mine?
Each of you.
Oh, go ahead, James. Go for it.
Drain You. Drain You is probably my favorite song. If I had to pick, it'd probably be that. With Breed being like a very close second, one or the other, I'd be really I'd be okay with calling a favorite.
Yeah, right on. Excellent
By you.
choices.
There
You
we
don't
go.
hear people choose Breed very often. I love that one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an awesome song.
I think In Bloom is and Lithium or two. But like you mentioned, I like some of their really aggressive shit that kind of feels like Negative Creep and some of that early Bleach stuff. I like In Bloom a lot for its sonic properties, but also mainly for its lyrical content and really showcasing that humorous side of Nirvana, that tongue in cheek and irony that they have. I love that. And then Lithium is just some great lyrics. Very like Rob showed though, very simple like.
But that's not bad though. Like
Not bad.
I'm not,
It is what it is.
and I'm playing it in the wrong key, so that's I kind of fake that a bit too to make it more.
Like I said, he's been practicing that.
Actually, I did play it like right before we started. Which is the one where he says, "Come on, people, now smile on your brother, everyone."
Territorial Pissings.
So that song, because I got this on like the Columbia House CD club down the road. When after it came out, and I put that on, and my mom was like, "That's from a song when I was a kid."
Mm-hmm.
So that stuck with me, but it's not my Breed is my favorite song on here because it just rocks, and played it a million times. But parts there's the part where he says don't have a gun or whatever, and that's very haunting. I love that part of that song.
It's haunting because of in retrospect in the time though.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
funny when I was getting all the samples ready. There is so many, like Kurt talking samples you can find. And they're all sad in hindsight because it's like this man was so tormented and in pain and to the point where in such a graphic way to end his life. You have to think that there's traces of that on this record. There's traces on that in Bleach. And I like Bleach. I like Bleach better than this, which is weird. I know.
I like this because it did strike a nerve with the mainstream, which is not really where I usually veer at all. And like these two songs I've chosen are songs that are more of your user-friendly songs, and that's not typical of me either. But I think the reason why I like that is because it allows more people to access this. And I like when bands like Nine Inch Nails become more mainstream, not because they get popular. It's not selling out. I like that more people could be introduced to a new medium in art.
Sure.
It could broaden minds. It could broaden viewpoints. So I like that's why I like those two songs in particular, because I think it did essentially did that. It brought in people that normally may not come to terms with this stuff or been introduced to it. And I think that's pretty fantastic.
I tell you, and jumping off of what you're saying there, and can you make your mic louder? I don't hear you that good.
Oh yeah,
thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, sir. Beautiful. I don't know if it's just on my headphones. I don't want to. As someone who has.
You owe me for one jelly donut.
Nicely done.
As someone who's now dedicated, this chapter of my life in putting music to the next generation, above all joking and kidding and sarcasm aside, the fact that this turned a generation onto playing guitar, and still to this day, people are like, you show them, I teach them bar chords, and then, okay, play this, drop it down, play it again, drop it down. They're playing this song and watching someone go, I know that song. For anything, it's magic because of that.
Yeah.
Also, something about this that I think is kind of, and I bought this just for this. That's why I'm touching it so much, because it's going to go right in the shelf when I'm done with it. I'll never touch it again.
Oh God.
Thank you, Amazon. You can't find it on vinyl. It's pretty hard now.
Yeah.
Something in the Way. There is, I think on Amazon Prime, they have all of the Classic Masters series, or they did for a period. And if you watch the Classic Masters for this record, they go back to the sessions with the surviving members. Butch Vig is there, and they're pulling down the faders on the same freaking console. It's ridiculous. And they show what Kurt was doing in that song and how he's just mumbling out the lyrics and the cello. And it's just haunting and amazing. And then something that I love, from creating music, and we've discussed this in various different ways. Come on. There it is. Repurposing music, right? So like you take something that's something and then remix it, change thing, a cover, however you want to see it, in the initial trailer for the new Batman movie with
Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
Pattinson?
Twilight, I was going to say, but yeah, Robert
with Twilight.
He was also in Harry Potter. That's my son. You know that part? He dies in the fourth one.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler
He's
alert.
not a main
Jesus.
character. Yeah. So they did it's still Kurt singing, I think, but it's just a totally changed version of Something in the Way during that trailer. And it is haunting as a mother. Like, whoa. Like, it takes you a second to realize, just like in the Dune trailer when they did the Pink Floyd, was it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, like, I love that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sound design, I'm not sure what that job is where you take something and then you just go over here, extrapolate it and change it. But
which I guess there's a show, I don't watch it. Christy watched Bridgerton or something. I can't remember, but like apparently all the classical pieces in there. So all the music is classical, but it's all contemporary music, all popular music done in a classical with strings and everything. And I thought I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I'd like to at least hear that. I'm not interested in seeing the show so much as just hearing the musical content of that.
I have that in my queue and I just haven't watched it. I haven't had I had enough sound mind to add it to the queue, but no inspiration to watch it. And there's that.
Yep. Well, going back to what you said, Rob, about inspiring people, there's a great quote by Ben Folds. He said, and I thought he summed it up pretty well because I agree with you. It did inspire kind of a nation or world of people. Ben Folds said, after hearing them perform, I left feeling inspired in a way I hadn't felt before. And the next day I did the thing that punk rock was always meant to make you do. I started a band. And
is that where he found the other four?
What's that?
Is that where he found the other four? The Ben Folds 5? I guess so.
Jesus.
Like a dad joke.
I was going to say that's a major dad joke.
How do you guys feel about the journal that was released?
The what?
Do you remember that? Do you remember when his journal was they released his journal, that big book?
Yeah, I have it. Yeah.
I never looked.
Yeah,
I never felt, someone got it for me as a gift. I don't have it anymore. I just never felt right after like reading. I'm like, I shouldn't be reading this. Like,
it's a cash.
It was a cash grab for sure, and I accepted it because it was a gift. But at the same time, I was like, this doesn't feel right. I remember just reading 2 or 3 pages, and I just so deep and dark and sad. I was like, I can't do this. I shouldn't. Why would you ever have somebody else's journal unless you stole it, right?
I feel similar to like within maybe the last decade, they put out like a Kurt Cobain album of just like crappy cassette tape recordings of him over the years, and there's like multiple versions of, there's a couple versions on there of, you know, you're right, and just other things, and it's like, I don't think he wanted people to hear that, you know.
It's too personal.
Yeah, that's not like going in Prince's vault and like finishing things he started. Like, this is literally his voice memo on his phone.
Yeah.
I don't, it feels dirty almost. It's voyeuristic in a way.
Yeah, it depends on how it's done, I guess. You know, like I know, like with Shannon Hoon, they found a bunch of stuff, but he was constantly recording on tape recorders of him with a guitar, him with a guitar. That's different than just
completely
very, like, it's a brain fart. Here's my brain fart, and now let's go make some money off of it. And it's like, it's a cash grab for sure. And you think about it, like they were catapulted into this huge stratosphere, and 3 albums and they're done. That's it. Well, if you count, you know, Unplugged. What's up, Emilio? How you doing, Carolyn? And Dylan.
Rackley.
Sound designers create the sound, audio engineers put them in the films and mix them in. In fact, that's what I want to do as a career. Make movies, have crazy sound engineering. Yeah. Stuff. It's awesome. You should definitely do that.
I mean,
chops, sir.
You know, it's funny because I'm actually having, now that I'm not hearing the music, I'm having an emotional moment because I'm holding it in my hands. I'm holding my hands a CD. I don't hold in my hand CDs very often, you know. I'm futzing with it. I'm playing with it. I'm opening it. I'm closing it. I'm doing what I would have done, you know. Is that an appropriate word?
Yeah, I just love it. I haven't heard you say that in forever. We sound like we used to hang out all the time. So just memories of sitting around your kitchen table and with your mom.
Throwing cereal into his mouth.
Crap in his pants.
Crapping in my pants and still throwing the cereal in my mouth because, God forbid, it gets soggy.
The Cinnamon Toast Crunch, wasn't it?
Oh, God. It was marshmallow, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
I was Cinnamon Crunch that time because that has a very quick, hard to soggy ratio. You got to jump it down. Well, it's hard.
If anything, I like, you got to let it marinate for just the right amount of time so you get that Cinnamon Toast Crunch milk at the bottom.
No, you're gonna get that no matter what. It's gonna happen.
But it could not be potent enough. You really want to get like maximum cinnamon contact in that milk.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch, when you crunch it, is magical. When it's soggy, it's like
it's penance.
It's like cardboard.
Yeah.
Jesus cracker.
No, it's just you're asking for forgiveness.
Oh, what do you call the cracker? Do you put
Host. Jeez. So, a question for you, Rob, from one guitar player to another guitar player, and I wouldn't mind getting your take on it as well, Brian.
Thank you.
Jeez. How do we collectively, not just me, see what I did there? I put everybody in the spotlight. How do we feel? Yeah, that's pretty much what that was. Rob, cue the music.
I never you said, sorry.
How do we collectively feel about the guitar tones on this album? I know that's kind of like
What
a
we are to
question.
you, huh? Some freak show? For all you care, our album could be Pit farting on a snare drum. Guys, I ain't farting on no snare drum.
That's what it sounds like to me. Someone farting on a snare drum.
The guitar, really? You took nothing else out of it? Like you couldn't get any kind of discernible impression besides just trash? That's not a loaded question. I'm seriously asking.
Honestly, the drums sound great.
Sound City.
Yeah. It just, I mean, Dave Grohl is on Mount Rushmore as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it's just, he's up there with Bonham and Moon. I think he's just outrageous. Hot take, but yeah, it sounds sloppy. It sounds like a bunch of pedals through single coil pickups through, smaller Mustangs and Jazzmasters and just.
How do you feel about? Go ahead. Sorry.
But it sounds like a time. Like I can listen back to 10 because we're going to go there. And that doesn't sound dated to me. It sounds like modern production. I hear Strats, I hear Les Pauls, humbucker single coils, 12-string bass, a singer who can sing, just all kinds of magic. And on this, I hear
lots of distortion pedals.
Yeah, like stacked distortion pedals.
I think that's. I think if you break down music into the subgenres and whatnot, that if grunge was a singular movement, then this was the punkier side of it.
100%.
So I think that's what the difference is that you are hearing the more vintagey elements in 10, like the clear inspiration from Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and whatnot. Yep. And on this, you're hearing more like Rancid and the Misfits and things like that.
1000%. That's what Brian's been saying. And for me,
the Melvins, it's like a proto-punk. Yeah, for sure. And that's what grunge is. Grunge has its grounds in proto-punk, sludge metal, same thing. I think that this album has a cleaner sound, but you're right. Like the drums sound phenomenal, but I think what makes it cool that you're saying it's kind of garbage though here and there, but I think that was like that sound, right? Like do it yourself.
That he was going for
attitude. Yeah. And I think that was kind of cool. Like, cause I think this can go one of two ways. Your sophomore album's always a tough one, right? Especially when your first album's so great and it has this following and like, there's a lot of pressure for a lot of people. You go too clean, you're going to be pigeonholed a certain way possibly, right? But I think that they still kept that energy of what they were, which is just raw and aggressive, even if it was sloppy. But that's who they are. You watch live footage of them, you watch early footage as well as that's who they are. I mean, you could blame that maybe on the drugs a little bit here and there, but for the most part, that's what they are. It is it's not about perfection. It's not about finesse and precision. It's about, here is the raw elemental energy that I feel right now. And that's it. Take it or leave it. I don't care.
And again, going off of that same nostalgia of holding the CD, as I'm reliving these feelings, I remember getting my first distortion pedal, the Metal Zone.
I didn't know where that was going. It was a long delay. I remember my first distortion pedal. Oh, okay. All right.
Hey, as a guitar player, that's almost the same thing,
It really is actually.
I mean, my first pedals, I had a Morley Wah distortion, I had a Icebox chorus and a BF2 flanger. But that feeling of playing Smells Like Teen Spirit, which again, I could teach it to your youngest child. The feeling of playing it and then physically stomping on something and everything changes, but I'm playing the same thing with my hands, but it's all different. Mm-hmm. That's magic. And that's not to be, taken for granted, I think, though. I'm trying desperately to do so.
I always said, like, just keep it simple. He's like, you know, as a drummer, would it be nice to have like these fancy fills and everything, and you should work toward, you know, the appropriate fill for the song. He's at the same time, it's like everyone's gonna remember the guy that kept the strong beat, that was the backbone, that was the
Right.
battery for that band. You try to fumble one fill just because you want to be fancy, they're gonna remember that though.
Right.
And I think that there's simplicity in Nirvana's music. I don't think that they, you know, strive to go beyond unnecessarily. It's all right. This calls for it now. Here it is. I think that that's what's cool about them. They just went to their own beat. They didn't give a crap, and I think that is something that's, you know, highly sought after, in my opinion.
But you said something that connects me as well. There, you know, I always try and say to the drum students, because they always try and do too much. It's just, you know,
always.
After that 3.5 minutes, they're going to remember that they could dance the whole time a hell of a lot more than if you nail that perfect fill.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
No matter how great that fill is, you're risking ruining the song.
Yeah.
And you're going to remember being able to dance to that song consistently, because timing is the most important thing in music, right? Like, check out this analogy. I say it all the time. So the three of us could have been playing guitar for this 20 years each, and we're of the same level, and we each have the same equipment, and we're playing the same solo individually in front of 1,000 people. And Brian hits 2 bad notes and corrects them, like, you know, slides out of the box, gets back in. James hits 5 bad notes. I hit 10 bad notes. Those 1,000 people aren't going to give a crap. What's up, Eddie?
Eddie, what's going on, sir?
If we're
I
playing,
can't see you, but I am sure you're there. Hey, Eddie.
if we're playing drums, you can't see him, James? Oh, because you're on your phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we're playing drums and any of us just fumble that beat for a second, every person's going to know.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. Think about the song that pops in my head right now, oddly enough, is Kashmir. You look at like Bonham, comparatively to what he does in all sorts of other songs, and you can watch Bonham go crazy with you're focusing on his handwork, his footwork. That song, not so much. He keeps such a solid tech. It's almost like a goddamn machine. It's done so well.
Right.
And that's what makes that song so infectious. It's not just the guitars and the grooves. It is his groove that he keeps so strong, so precise, so mechanical. It's like AI. It's amazing. So that when he does finally give you a little taste of a fill, you're like, oh, it stands out. And it just hits you in the back. You're like, yeah, right, there he is, man.
Punches you in the mouth. You're like, well, there it is. I'm alive.
It's funny you guys bring up the drumming, because I had 2 things about the drumming. And the first one, have you both seen Sound City, the movie?
Oh, yeah. On the soundtrack too. It's great.
It really is.
One of my favorite soundtracks.
What song was it that they made Dave Grohl play to a metronome, and he took to it like a fish to water? Was it? Does anybody remember?
I can't remember. I honestly can't remember, because it's been a while since I watched it. It's probably like last year I watched it.
That was something that I remembered while I was listening to this, and it made me rewatch Sound City, just because I love to watch Sound City. It just makes me smile when I watch it. Makes me smile and then makes me hysterically weep. But
Yeah.
Something that I thought of just now while you guys were mentioning drumming is, when this album came out, I might not have related to it the same way, because at the time I was a drummer. Like, at the time I was still like playing drums, and looking back on it, I remember the video. Like, I was coming off of the 80s, and like the Black Album with Metallica was like just a thing, and Justice for All. And I remember Lars's drum kit having like the 4 toms, double bass, 2 floor toms, just so much equipment. And then I remember seeing the video for Smells Like Teen Spirit and seeing 3 pieces and saying to myself, what do you do with that? Like, how do you even a drummer? You only got 3 pieces in your
And he
kit.
said things it was Teen Spirit. That was the one with the metronome.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was.
That's what Eddie. It's our third party counsel is.
Our drum technician.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Our team of producers are offsite giving us all the pertinent facts to make sure we only say about 30% of untrue statements.
It's checking myself on that. You know, like, what do you do with 3 pieces of a drum kit? Flashback to like a year or so ago, I saw a video on YouTube of Matt Halpern from Periphery playing Animals as Leaders KFO on a snare and a bass drum. That was it. He played the entire song on a snare and a bass drum, and it was staggering.
And I think what you're saying there is a testament again to why this was a great band, because
he doesn't want to say it's good,
because great is not the right word. Competent. Really itchy. Crappy guitars, you know, thrift shop, sort of beaten to crap, smashed and put back together guitars. not, roasted necks into bodies with the crazy extra tension and just garbage stuff, really stuff that anyone can get their hands on. And then a 3-piece kit, which kind of looks like the rack tom is a floor tom and the floor tom is a kick, and the kick drum is a kick drum, and then this dude with this hair, just giant sticks and just going to town. And then this giant playing, a silly looking bass with a pick. And they made it work. They made it work at an exceptional level. And you're right. If you do watch them live, if you watch that Unplugged down the road, I don't know if any of the younger guys watching this, but if you check them out, they put out a full concert from the In Utero tour. So they have Pat Smear playing second guitar, which adds to the sound. I think they do sound better as a 4-piece band, my opinion, in a live setting at least. But it's just worth exploring, I mean.
Yeah, I think the take home.
No 10.
What's that? Oh, God. I mean,
you need to let that go.
Got it. Take home here is just give it a try, man. Listen to it. It's definitely something there. I don't know, it defined a culture of music, and it's exciting to kind of go back, and it's the same as like kind of going back and listening to a Beatles album. This is something that is kind of pinnacle. So I don't know, I highly recommend it. Whether you like it, like Rob says, it's like I'll listen to it. I listened to it for this, and I'm good with never listening to it again. That's fine. I wasn't hugely into them. I found it refreshing to kind of listen to it. Will I turn it on all the time? Probably not. I like to probably pick my favorites and make a mix and do it that way. But I mean, I appreciate it greatly. And every once in a while, I may throw it on just because I'm in the mood for it.
I think some of these songs combined with some of their other songs, you could put together a really good album if it were sort of my own interpretation of a greatest hits. Now, some people could say this is a perfect album if you're a fan of this band. My closing statement on this album is something that has been a large factor in my perception of the world over the last handful of years. Is anything that's disruptive is something that perks my interest.
Mm-hmm.
This was a disruptor. This changed the path of a lot of things, in that it started people playing music. It changed, it killed, for better or worse, a genre of music, a subgenre.
Metal.
Of music.
Yeah, glam rock specifically. Everybody says hair metal, but I think it's kind of a silly term because it's like.
I mean, James has long hair. If he plays metal, is that hair metal? I don't know.
Most people in rock, a lot of them do. So I think it killed it, glam rock more so than anything. And I don't think it killed it so much as it just like, something new and different came out. I think that was great what you said there, though, a disruptor. I mean, art should be dangerous, right?
Yes,
so, and
100%.
I think that this did that. That was a great way to end that on, man. Let's end it on a high note right there before we transition.
For that reason alone, it's worth checking out.
Top 3 drummers, go.
James, you first.
Oh gosh. Top 3 drummers. You're gonna have to come back to me. I never really put that much thought into it. I could tell you that I would probably put Bill Buford.
Oh no, I gotta think outside rock. Fuck me. I mean, screw me.
I really love Mike Mangini as a drummer, but I don't know that I could single him out in any particular project to call attention to him. I mean, like Steve Vai live sessions with Mike Mangini were fantastic.
Eddie Barton took lessons with Mike Mangini. Eddie Barton teaches drums at Rob School of Music.
Oh, what?
Mike Mangini, I always thought he was an incredibly, incredibly talented drummer. Yeah. I don't know the guy's name off the top of my head, but whoever played live drums on the First Animals' Leaders tour has to be just his ability to play that preposterous cacophony that comes out behind that drum set has to say something for his skill set as a player. So yeah, I'm not sure, but Matt Garska, was that him maybe for that first tour? But sensational drummer.
Rackley would know.
Well, let's check in with those are good ones, James. I mean, Eddie, a well-seasoned
nailed it.
Eddie just dropped 3 great ones: Grohl, Chad Smith, and Dennis Chambers. So that's it's funny because
I just thought of another one. Ah, crap.
There's this. I heard that they asked Lars. Howard Stern asked Lars, who is not in this category,
ever.
Who is better? Would it be Bonham or Neil Peart? And
Peart.
I believe that's how you're supposed to say it, right?
I don't know.
I think so. Just like the synthesizer, Moog.
Morgan Rose. That's a good one. Yeah, nobody talks
He-
about Morgan Rose.
Morgan Rose for his showiness, man. The way he can like manipulate his body as he's playing. He's
Not
a
just
fun-
his showiness. If you really listen, he's doing some pretty good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He's pretty great.
Dude, he's
My
Tommy
top
Lee's,
three.
Cut from that cloth though, where it's showy and super talented.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
There you go, Brian. You're a drummer. Who's your top three?
I mean, Bonham just struck a chord with me at a young age. Just, I don't know.
Bottom, and bottom.
And then bottom. Glenn Graham from Blind Melon. Christopher Thorne said it great in our interview with him. Like, he's our secret weapon, and he certainly is. He's underrated. No one talks about him enough. He is phenomenal. If you guys don't know Glenn Graham, just go check him out. Glenn Graham. And then Dave Grohl. I think you hit it on the head before, Rob. Dave Grohl is just Mount Rushmore. You know, he's done great stuff, not just Nirvana and Foo Fighters, them Crooked Vultures. He's done stuff with Nine Inch Nails. He's done somewhat, kind of session work in the sense that he's been hired with other musicians. And goddamn, if everything he touches doesn't
Queens of the Stone Age. He's on that.
Queens of the Stone Age. He just
record,
adds
yeah.
a different element. And it's not always the same thing. It's like, oh, that's so and so's drumming. You could tell it's him. You could tell by the heavy-handedness. You could tell by maybe the footwork, or, But he always adds something different. I think that's what I love about those drummers that I've listed. Is they are always pushing the envelope and seeking to evolve. And I love that as an artist, as someone that's willing to just keep pushing. You can see the common thread, but they're willing to disrupt that.
I want to say something that's going to be controversial because that's just me. So I'm going to say Bonham. I'm going to say Grohl. Now I see a couple popping up here in the
Danny Carey, yeah, in the top 10.
Danny Carey.
Dirty Jerseys. Thank you, sir.
I don't know that, but thank
Good
you.
year.
Okay, so Danny Carey's the sick drummer.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Portnoy. Same with
Portnoy's a rockin' boy too, man. Nanuet, yeah.
But to me, what it's like subcategories, right? So when I'm thinking like end all be all drummer could play on any record, that's where I'm going to like categorize these top three. There has to be this overarching diversity. Not saying that Danny Carey probably couldn't play on a disco record, but that would be like, why? That'd be
Back
like
to a gunfight.
I'd be like driving, your Porsche, around a cul-de-sac. Like, what are you doing? Like, open it up on a straight shot, let it go. So for me, it's about groove, right? So I'm thinking like, okay, well, Chad Smith has he can sit back in that pocket. What's his name?
Okay.
Carter Buford. Is that his name?
Oh my God, Carter Buford. It's hard to just
cool
think
pocket.
straight.
Yeah.
So hard. Terry Bozzio, for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Innovators. Yeah. Oh, that was a good one. That was a good, nice.
Yeah.
I was talking to Tom Pisani a couple weeks back, and I forget how it came up in conversation, but we were talking. I had mentioned to him I had just seen the I think it was the Classic Masters for Peter Gabriel's So, and he had mentioned something about the drummer there, and that was my biggest takeaway from watching that documentary. Was Peter Gabriel had him come in and he would have like all of his session musicians do like multiple takes so he can cherry pick what he wanted for the song. And when he told that drummer, if Tom were here, he would have his name right off the top of his head. He said, okay, do another take, try it differently. And he said, why? That's how I'm going to play the song. And I thought that was like full stop. That was what I was going to do. I wouldn't do it any other way. Why would you ask me to play it again?
Yeah.
I thought that was incredibly boss.
Yeah, I mean, that's great confidence, right? That you want that in someone that you've hired or you're looking to work with. You want that.
Well, I think too, on that same topic, we've been in those positions before. It's like you hit a take and then it's like, oh, try a different one. Yeah, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to do it like that again. Sometimes you capture that lightning in the bottle.
And that's it.
And you're gonna get close, but it's not going to be that.
I know.
And I think it's okay for it not to be that in other applications down the road. But that, like a peanut butter in my mouth, like hold on, not a good choice. Like a dog trying to take a pill.
Oh boy.
Oh man, I don't know who that is. Todd Sucherman. I gotta look him up. I'm not sure who that is. I'll tell you, he's a great drummer. Eddie Barton.
Eddie Barton is a great drummer.
Eddie Barton's a good drummer. Tom Pisani's a good drummer. Brian Winder's a good drummer.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
My dad's a good drummer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Sam's a good drummer. I'm not a good drummer. All right.
Sam, your girlfriend's a drummer?
She can play drums, yeah.
No kidding.
Kind of ridiculous, yeah.
Weird. Wow. All right, what's our next topic, boys?
Wait.
Oh,
Wait.
sorry.
Wait. Wait, I can do
Drummer for
it.
Styx.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Yeah.
All right, so got about 10 minutes or so, guys. Here, where are we
What do you-
going?
Dylan says, if we were doing top 3 drummers, might as well pull the if you can make a 4-person band and the members could be dead, alive, or any time in their career, who would it be? Oh, geez, with that.
Let's pin that. We'll
Yeah.
think about it, and let's come back to that next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be our opener for next time because that's a great question, complicated. And he says there's a drummer from Styx. I believe it. That's very diverse.
I'm
Fun
gonna
stuff.
copy and paste this one so I don't forget because I will forget that.
We gotta like one of us has to break out the full baller Devin Townsend. Who would you put in your ideal band? No one.
Oh man! All right.
Yeah, I asked him a question like that and he was just mean to me.
Who?
Devin Townsend?
No.
I don't think he was ever mean to you.
Can you put that in the note, Brian, so we don't forget that?
I did. I actually, yeah.
All right, so comic books. We going to comic books?
Let's do it. Let's go to
We can
comic.
talk about comic books.
Yeah.
All right, so
Hey.
guys, I think that you guys know us. Thank you for hanging with us as always. We greatly
Yes,
appreciate
thank
it. We have an amazing episode coming for you next week as well. Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction, another disruptor, if you will, another cultural shift. So that's kind of the running theme here. But there's more to us than just music, energy powder, and peanut butter. Okay. We're actually kind of nerdy and like to read comic books of various sorts. So let's go round robin because Wednesday is new comic book day, in case you guys didn't know that.
That it is.
So let's start off with Brian.
Oh, all right. So I haven't collected comics in a while. I started up a couple of years ago when I first moved out to Illinois, and then I kind of fell off the wagon. I'll take my kids to the comic book store pre-pandemic. But I've been getting into trade paperbacks a lot more because it's just kind of cool to kind of revisit older series that are just way too much money to try to snag a copy of, like, Swamp Thing 20. Like, I ain't got money like that. So just
Now, for those who don't know, a trade paperback would be like a reissue collected edition of sorts.
yeah. So like sometimes what they'll do is they'll either take like a volume, and so it'll be like trade paperback would be volume 1 and it encompasses like maybe 4 or 5 issues, or maybe it's just an arc. They've done it so they have like 3 volumes that encompass the arc of like maybe 20 issues, whatever the arc was. So I'm really into this one. It's called The Saga of Swamp Thing. Some killer work. This introduces us, not really introduces, but Alan Moore. So, I mean, most people know who Alan Moore is now. He's kind of a household name in nerddom. But at the time, like, he was really only known for like 2000 AD, Warrior, and Marvel UK. He's gone on since to do like The Watchmen, Batman: The Killing Joke, which is phenomenal. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, V for Vendetta, like some of these killer stories. And he is by far one of the greatest storytellers and writers. A lot of people think I equate it to like Quentin Tarantino could write really great dialogue. He writes amazing dialogue. And this Swamp Thing, if you guys haven't read it, it's cool because the publication of Swamp Thing was originally done by Len and Bernie Wrightson, who Bernie Wrightson, I'm a huge fan of his artwork. I just loved his artwork. I have a tattoo in kind of a like an homage to him. But they were gonna get rid of Swamp Thing after a while because it just was terrible sales. And they, as a last kind of swing, they got Alan Moore and he revamped it. And this is a killer storyline. It dives into the psyche of it, the consciousness of Swamp Thing, and kind of redeveloping the idea of like it's not this man that became a monster so much as kind of like the monsters absorbed his consciousness and so it's like he's not really a man anymore. It's I cannot do any justice. It's killer, but like the artwork is just insane. Here, let me see if I could flag a couple pages here. So I mean, just some of the artwork, you could see some of the lines and the colors. Even the way they do the panels and some of these things is just fun. It's just like look at the paneling, the way they just do the different things. It's just killer artwork. I mean, the line work, the inking, it's a great story. It's a great bunch of artists. I can't say enough great things about it. Matter of fact, it's interesting enough. I was listening to a couple of, I can't remember which one it is with Kevin Smith, one of his podcasts, and he actually mentioned this one. So it's definitely something that a lot of people I think don't know about, but check it out. It's a Saga of Swamp Thing. This is book 1. I forget how many books there are. I can't see my pile right now, but yeah, awesome. Just phenomenal. Great stuff, man. Yeah.
Nice.
Killer. It's just killer. It's great work.
Swamp Thing cartoon. There's a cartoon of it. Like,
Oh yeah. Yep. Well, that was the other thing that did well for it too. Is in I think it was '82 when Wes Craven decided to make Swamp Thing into a movie, which there wasn't very many superhero movies, and people forget that that's technically a superhero movie, although dark and horror related. But that's Swamp Thing for you.
What about you, James?
Nice.
You go a Japanese, eh?
I have a couple things. This was something that I actually just got for Christmas this year. This is a manga rendition of H.P. Lovecraft's At the Mountains of Madness.
Ooh.
And it, like Brian was saying, it's manga, so typically all black and white, but just to see any vision of Lovecraft kind of embodied in a bizarre method of storytelling like this, it's just really wild because Lovecraft's creatures are so open into interpretation as to what they might be. They're shapeless and kind of like you can't. A lot of them, they say, as soon as you lay eyes on them, you drive yourself mad. So who's to say really what any of them look like? So it's always fun to see an interpretation of it, and I love that story. So it was really happy to get that. I can't wait to get through it more. But I also, something I could recommend very highly is this right here. I told you about this, Brian, I think.
Yeah, you did.
This, to try and sum this up as best as possible, it's called Death Vigil. And this is gorgeous art. And it's very, very silly and very, very well done. And just a great story. The artist and the artist is the writer. And it's for all intents and purposes, the Grim Reaper on the cover has basically, at the time of certain people's death, has basically created her own team of talented individuals to keep the forces of darkness at bay, basically. So you get like a second lease on life, even though you've just basically been killed, to try and do some good. And she's a complete geek. It's hysterical. Like, she dances randomly listening to like her iPod. It's hysterical.
Nice.
But it's a very, very fun story. And it's like what you were saying about like a trade paperback, that it's a compendium of all the volumes that made up the first season, I guess, of Death Vigil. And it's really great. It's not an overly investing read. It's kind of big, but it's a great art, great story. Can't say enough good things about it.
Nice.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
So I tell you, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. What do you got, Rob?
Well, I didn't bring anything with me because I had it for last week, but then we ran out of time and I took it home.
What did you have last week?
So for me, like, I always, when I was a kid, like I just like superheroes and X-Men and a lot of the Marvel stuff, but the DC stuff too. It doesn't really differentiate in that way. A lot of the X-Men animated series was fantastic. I watched with my son a lot of the newer Spider-Man ones, which were really cool. And then when Disney Plus came out, we could kind of rewatch everything. And then I just got HBO Max, so you can watch all the DC animated stuff. And that side of things, just being able to consume it in this 20-minute, no commercial thing on TV. It's these stories. But maybe a year ago, I was told I need another hobby because music consumes my life. And I was like, oh, maybe it'll be comic books. I'll try that. So coincidentally, around the same time, they had been relaunching the whole X-Men world, a complete relaunch. They did 2 simultaneous 6-book runs, one called House of X and one called Power of X. And they were running simultaneous stories that interconnected. One was like jumping through time and one was in the future. And then in the end, you find out how they connect. And it was really like, holy crap. And then it just rebooted the whole series. And they had like 6 different books going at once. Again, interconnecting, but now just like a long form thing, not like this sort of reboot where the X-Men have this island and it's very complex to explain, but it's cool because it's characters that I knew growing up that I can now read. And I think what I think is the most exciting part is if it's a hobby you're looking to get into, it's not something that you need to. For me, I go to a place called Gotham Underground in Ramsey. It's a comic book store. Plug them. Great place. And I have a pull list. So basically they know everything that I like. And they pull it every week it comes out. So I just go there once a month. I grab my stack of books, and then that gives me enough to read for the month. And then I just repeat it. I'm a little behind right now as my recent Instagram post, like a big stack of stuff.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I didn't get to read any over the weekend because life, but I think it's a cool escape, like anything, especially with the way the world is now, like it actually was difficult for me because when COVID first happened, I was looking for escapes, but I didn't want to go to the store and touch stuff. You know? So like, and then a lot of the comic books stopped shipping during that time for the first handful of months because of it. So now it serves as a fantastic escape because it's this world of superheroes and crazy stuff. And the thing that Brian's saying, like now that I got turned on to it, I'm like, oh, well, I really want to know what happened in the Infinite Crisis 3 giant DC thing. So I bought the graphic novel collected edition, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Great. Of those, Killing Joke one, Death of Wolverine one. So it's just, for me, like, I like to read. I have a tremendous amount of books. I like to put things inside my head to shut my brain off, but I'm not a thorough reader. Shh, don't tell anyone. I skim and I get the gist of it. But with comic books, I find with the pictures, I don't have to read every word to know what's going on, like a child. So for me, it's
not entirely incorrect.
Right. And then if it's like it's fascinating, I'll loop back over it. But I find if I read every word, I get like obsessed, even like in a book.
Yeah.
Every word, like I just read the same paragraph over and over and over, and it doesn't seem to compute in the same way. Whereas I would just blah, 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 boom, then I got it.
Right. I think getting issues like you do is exciting because it's like crate digging, you know.
Right.
Whether you have a pull list or you go and you're like, yes, you know, it's exciting. I think the trade paperbacks, what makes it exciting too is like it's all in one. I don't have to wait,
right?
You know, or if it's way older, like I don't have to go and try to.
Right. It's like binge watching.
It is, but what's cool too is a lot of times if it's done well, and then it's worth your time. There's forwards, there's prefaces, there's thank yous, there's all these stories that come up. There's also other artists like guest artists, will just, you know, who are inspired with something, will do like a painting. So it's like you'll get like all these like kind of you know, so it's like it's cool to kind of have like these extras, like these bonus tracks. Like here's the version of, you know, demo version of Nails' Ruiner, you know, and you're like, oh, cool, I see where this is coming from, how this was birthed first. So I like that about trade paperbacks. It's kind of like James said, like a compendium that also encompasses all these like bonus material. You're like, yeah. So I like that. I really like it.
I think it's great because now looking at it like from the perspective of like I bought some of those issues that are available now as like a collection that like I had a couple of them when they were new, but like I didn't have the one before it, or I couldn't get the one after it, you know, like now you can get that whole, if it was like a sub story to something, like for example, I'm sure there has to be a trade paperback for the Weapon X series, and like that would be something that I would love to have now because I never had all of it. And if you don't care about the collecting side of it, you just want to know what happens, then it gives you that avenue for a low price of entry.
100%. Like many a times I would be going to the mall to watch a movie and just wander into Barnes and Noble because they're open late and just spend, you know, that 40 minutes, whatever, just reading through, you know, buying it, but just reading through something collected because it gave you this opportunity to see the complete arc of a story.
Right.
I think there's so many of these iconic stories by tremendous writers and you know, artists that are out there over the past, you know, 40 years that it's really cool to kind of ingest that. And it just serves as a point of inspiration, really. You know, I think to me, it's escape and it's inspiration. That's really the two kind of
things. That's great. What a great way to wrap that up, sir.
2 for 2, baby.
Baby.
I was going to say, do you want to play the song and do the dance again?
I can't even believe how dumb that was. For anyone still watching, your buddy Rob here had his crap routed wrong and danced like an ass and screamed like a madman. You guys got to know. So real quick.
I think that's short shrift. It was incredible. If you were here for it, it was a treat.
I'm going to definitely edit that out. So
don't do it. So worth it.
What do you guys do real fast before we're gonna wrap this up, guys, in the next 6 minutes, I believe. So maximum. What do you do when the countdown is happening? What is?
Oh, I dance. 100% dance. I dance. I make silly faces. I sing it. I make lyrics to it.
What do you do? I can see you downstairs, you know, backstage, but I can't hear you.
I know, that's the unfortunate thing. You're missing out.
I don't move. I just kind of sit here anticipating that the internet will fail us and we'll just come back to life at some point. And the countdown, like, oh, it's 19 seconds. And there's Brian dancing. There's Rob, you know, blowing his nose. And I'm just going to be here and I'm going to I'm ready.
Deer in the headlights.
Well, this time, despite the audio snafu, it was ready to go. I had the countdown start. I pressed the countdown, then I pressed live. I had the music going. So when the countdown ended, the music was playing. So there wasn't that lull, which there was in previous episodes. All that failed because it was only in my headphones. But what I'm doing every time, and it's only been 3 times the countdown's happening, but this is my ritual, guys, because there's a little behind the scenes. Ready? This is my, my routine. I am screaming like a madman, like amping myself up to go play at the Super Bowl.
Nice.
Deep breaths, filling my lungs up, because that's deep breathing. We've been discussing in private. It's good for you. It gets you, ready. And I'm just like, ready to do it. And that's why I get all that energy when it goes on. So I suggest you try it and let's see if all of it.
That's what I'm doing my own way. The dancing and the singing. And that's how I get jazzed up for it.
They're just pretending to do it. My heart's going. All right. So next week, what do we got?
Appetite for Destruction. You in the jungle, baby. You're going to die.
I'm excited for this one.
It's funny for me, that album is Mr. Brownstone.
Oh, that's your favorite?
I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's the track that I immediately relate to Appetite when I think of it. I think We've Been Dancing with Mr. Brownstone.
I love that song.
Yeah, because they were. Yeah, let's not spoil it, but I think that's going to be another fun one, and we'll get some communication going. But we thank you guys so much for your time.
Yes.
And this was a fun one, and full of all kinds of idiocy and magic. And Brian, you got anything to plug? Anything cool going on this week?
This week? Not really. No. Thank you guys for tuning in. I can't think of anything that's going on. I'm redoing my glass etching. I didn't etch yet on my phone booth yet. So, but I just to be safe, I got everything all set up. What's that?
I was just about to blow up your spot. I didn't know if it was safe or not.
For what?
On what the phone booth is.
So I took the door off the phone booth. Phone booth is still in the garage. I brought the door. It's a folding door. So I brought the folding door into the basement where I work, and it's on. It's standing there, and I have the 6 images behind the glass. I have it all contacted out. I've been using an X-Acto knife, cutting out the images. And then I was like, all right, before I start taking acid to glass, I was like, let's stand this bad boy up and make sure that I measured correctly, which I measured everything 3 times, not twice. And yet I still messed up 2 of the images. They're not aligned, and that will not sit well with my crazy brain. So, well, then let's start those over.
You got to pull all that contact off.
But you know what? I'm glad it's contact because you can't take the acid away. So,
yeah.
So I caught it. But that's art, right?
Measure twice, cut once.
Dude, I measured 3 times and still somehow messed it up.
It's all right. That's how I did. I would measure it 10 times and still mess it up. And so
yeah. My son was devastated. He said, "What do you mean you're getting rid of it?" I'm like, "No, I'm just redoing it. I gotta move it. All right, easy." I should be more upset. I'm the one that sit there for an hour with this damn thing, cutting out this off, for Christ's sakes.
James?
No, nothing crazy to report. Just same old.
All right. Well, in my world, I'm talking to next Wednesday. My interview will be with, I believe, the guitar player for Kelsey Ballerini. Country, Nashville guy.
Cool. Nice.
Promotions for that.
That'll be your first country.
My first, I actually have 2 of them lined up. I have this guy, and then I have another guy in a couple weeks who plays on studio records with Tim McGraw and Jason Aldean. So yeah, 2 like Nashville country guys, which is cool because that's like a whole nother level of musicianship. And, like get it right kind of stuff. So that's exciting.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. So cool stuff. And thank you guys so much for hanging with us.
Yes, thank you
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you next time.
Take care.